So I've cloned the natural gas use case diagram's behavior so we can tweak this and make it the variant specific one for the natural gas grill. So the dispense fuel is going to be owned by the gas line. The gas burner is what's combusting the fuel. Now the gas valve is in the middle here. It's got to regulate gas flow. So I'm going to go ahead and drag it on here. And put it in the middle of the dispense and the combust. Notice I'm leaving this pretty ugly while I'm working, and I'll just auto-arrange later. Again, when I'm working, I tend not to waste a lot of time on how things look. We also have this heat diffuser that's diffusing heat that we need to put here in the middle. And so that probably should go in between the combust fuel and the cook food. So I'm going to cheat. I will go to the gas burner and I will steal its parameter here for the heat, copy that onto the diffuse heat, and then just set the direction to in-out. So again, because I understand how Magic Draw works, I can really save myself some time here. Rather than stop and create it, I just did a copy paste and a quick tweak, and I'm off to the races. So again, I hope you get an appreciation for how quickly you can model when you know what you're doing. So again, we've got that in place now. The igniter now is this ignite fuel, which again is a function we didn't have before. We'll deal with that in a moment. There is no load fuel per se here. And this thermostat has the display temperature off to the side as well. So let's take a look at what we have. The gas line, gas valve. Collect ash. Okay, there is no ash here. So combust fuel should not have an ash output. So I'm going to come up here and I'm just going to delete it. I could set the multiplicity to 0. I'm just going to delete it because we own our own copy of combust fuel. So when I delete that, it's warning me that this output pin needs to be removed, and I'll go ahead and remove it. So now we can see that we don't need this function anymore. There is no ash to collect. So I'm going to hit Control-D to delete that and get rid of the collect ash function because it's not necessary. Again, this is why we want to be able to make variant-specific use case diagrams and activity diagrams. Okay, cook food is now going to be a function of, probably should be the heat diffuser. Let's see where we ended up putting this. Is there a, let's look at our dependency matrix here. We're looking for the cook food function. What's realizing it? Nothing. So I'm going to have it realized by the heat diffuser. And so we just need to have the heat in and heat out, which we do. And so we'll go back to this, and that's now realizing. So we've decided just to attribute the cook food function to the heat diffuser. Which means we just need to find a cook food as well. So I'm going to have to copy that from the functional architecture. Have it now owned by the heat diffuser. And drag it on there. And actually we'll correct the mistake we just made, because diffuse heat is not that function, but it does do the cook food function. So notice we now have a case where there are columns that don't have relationships. So as we look at these, we now have to make a value assessment. Are these important? Collect ash. Okay, combust fuel is missing, but the burner does that, so I'll fix that. Loading fuel, there isn't really the loading in this particular variant. There is no smoking and there's no ash collection, so that's fine. If we look at the rows without relationships, regulate gas flow didn't exist in the functional architecture. Neither did diffuse heat or ignite the fuel or display temperature. So again, here's a case where we have looked at this extra detail, and now we would have to make a value assessment. Do we promote these back up to the top level and add them to those use cases and those activity diagrams? And that's something that I would leave to you to decide. I'm not going to do that in this example. And again, the user no longer needs to load the fuel, so we should fix that here and remove that from our user because the user doesn't do it. So there you have it. We've spent a few minutes, and now we have a nice variant-specific activity diagram that describes what's happening in our logical variant. We'll next talk about ports and how to disassociate ourselves from use cases that we can't do, such as the smoke food. We're going to assume that the natural gas grill has no smoking capability.